Are you hungry?
Give me something good.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Görgött. Asparagus are in season, so we have some beautiful white asparagus, and we're gonna make a French classic sauce with it, a sauce Gribiche. It's mostly served with cold cuts, like cold meat. And it's kind of a mayonnaise, but it's made with hard-boiled egg yolks. So we'll go through how to make that, but it's relatively simple. And it's a straightforward kind of spring dish. Once asparagus is in season, go ahead and make it. But before we have a look at what we have on our board, as always, please don't forget to click the subscribe button. That helps me a lot to continue producing this kind of content for you. And if you want, you can also check the little bell icon. That gives you updates when new content comes online, which is every Tuesday and Thursday. But now, let's have a look at what we have here. So we have 3 hard-boiled eggs. We have some mustard. The classical way would be to use Dijon mustard, the French mustard. I'm using a similar kind of mustard. We have some capers. We have some gherkins. We have our beautiful white asparagus. We have some chervil, some tarragon, and some parsley, kind of equal quantities. We have a bit of white wine vinegar and a bit of neutral oil, in this case grape seed oil. You could use canola oil or something similar that's neutral in taste. And as you can see, our asparagus is already peeled. I didn't want to bore you with peeling asparagus, but let's have a look at how I peel one. Just put it down on a plain surface and then slowly turn it while I peel. Obviously keeping the top, but you probably already know that. I need a new peeler. So, there you go. And now all I do is just trim the bottom edge off. And if you want to keep them, you can do this 10 hours, 8 hours in advance. Just put a cotton towel, a kitchen towel, make it wet, wring it out, and put them in a moist towel and into the fridge, and they will keep perfect. So now that you've seen that, we'll put our asparagus in the steamer. Now you can also boil them. I don't know how long it will take you, but in the steamer at 100 degrees, the sweet spot is 17 minutes. So 17 minutes at 100 degrees in the steamer. Let's get that going. And now for our gribiche. We'll start with the eggs. What you want to do is kind of break the egg up. Should ideally be cold, which is the case here. Get the yolk out. Put the white to the side, we will need that later. So, first step done. Now the next step is to kind of mince this up. You can use a fork, I tend to use a spoon, I find it easier. Make sure to break it up in small pieces. There we are. Now you could also press it through a sieve if you want, then you get it really fine. But that is also a lot of cleaning. Now let's mix in our mustard. For this amount, I would say about 1.5 tablespoons. And also get about a tablespoon of white wine vinegar in there. And then we'll start mixing this together. Now that's enough. Now we can start adding the oil. We'll add it little by little. And it's important to kind of get an emulsion out of it. A bit more. So there we are. Now we can put that in the fridge for now, and we'll prep the other stuff that goes in it. So let's start with the egg whites. There's no wrong or right way. It all comes down to how big you kind of want them. I would slice them one way and then just go across them again. Now for the gherkins. Again, up to your own preference. I will split them twice and then just kind of slice them up. You can make the larger or smaller depending on what you prefer. We're done with our gherkins as well. You can mix everything together now, so you can put it with the egg whites. And now last but not least, for the capers, before we move on to the herbs, just roughly chop over them. There we go. And now for our herbs. Now, chervil is so fine, so I don't really mind the stalks. For the tarragon, yeah, I think we might pick it off. So just kind of pull off the leaves. And the parsley I got today is also quite fine, so we don't really mind the stalks. We'll just chop it up finely. As always, it's easier if you kind of roll it into a ball. So on the end, which is mostly stalks, I'll take away. And there we have our herbs as well. And put them in the same bowl. We have our emulsion out, and now we basically just mix this in. It's easier if you have the right tool, a spoon. Now, some people might like the consistency a bit saucier, then you have to have more of the emulsion basically. I like it a bit meaty. I'll give it a quick taste to see if it's missing salt and pepper. A little bit of salt. But not too much, because the gherkins and so on, the capers are quite salty in themselves. So this for me is the basic gribiche. You can adapt it a bit. You can put some lemon juice in there if you want. You could put other herbs in there. You could put less herbs in there. But for me, this is kind of the classic recipe. But adapt it as you see fit. Now we'll get the asparagus out and then we'll plate it. The asparagus is ready. 17 minutes on the dot. We'll just place some here. Slippery suckers. 5 is a good size, I think. We'll take our gribiche and just put it a little bit on top like that. Doesn't get much better. Let's dig in. Mm. 17 minutes means perfectly cooked. And nice and tender, but not too soft. Still have a bit of a bite to them. And yes, the sauce gribiche is classically with cold meat, but it goes perfect with cold vegetables as well, especially white asparagus. And these being Swiss, been in season maybe for 2-3 weeks now, they're at its best. It's an easy dish, but there's a lot of flavors in it, quite complex, but it all works together. I've shown you the basis, you can play around with it, make it your own. But it's a really nice kind of spring dish, or even as a starter. Just make it maybe a smaller portion, 3 or 4 asparagus, and then you're good to go. But yeah, that's it for today basically. If you stuck with me this far, please give me a thumbs up. And don't forget, leave a comment. Tell me what you liked about the episode. Tell me what you would like to see on the channel. I'm not resistant to criticism or to suggestions, so leave a comment. And if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button. But that's it for this time. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.